Grand-Maître, Artistic Director of Alberta Ballet, and I'm also the choreographer of Love Lies Bleeding. Well, the Elton John project came about because of the Joni Mitchell project, which was our first portrait of a modern music icon. And Joni Mitchell, we approached her because she was born in Alberta and we were celebrating our 45th anniversary. This was in 2007. And it was a big success. Joni loved the project, and serendipity would have it that about 2 years later she was having dinner with one of Elton John's closest right-hand men, and Michael Hewitson, and they had dinner, and Joni talked a lot about the ballet. And I was very lucky. 1 week later, Elton John was performing in Calgary at the Saddle Dome. And so I got a call on a Thursday night from Michael Hewitson saying that Elton John would like to meet me backstage, and 10 of our dancers, and they were going to give us front row seats. And I thought it was a joke. I didn't think it could be true. And I started really checking in this guy's voice and his accent, and it was very good. And I said, well, this is exciting. We can't wait to meet Elton John tomorrow. And he said he wants a DVD of your Joni Mitchell ballet, and he wants to hear all about it. And that's what came to be. The next day we were at the concert and we met him backstage. He was very gracious, wonderful man. And after that initial meeting, we approached him again to see if we could create a contemporary ballet inspired by his world and his music. And I got an email within 5 minutes from Elton saying he wanted me to go meet him in Vegas, and he was really excited about this project. Well, for sure I knew Elton because I grew up listening to Elton's music, and I knew a lot about his music, more than other singers actually. But, you know, what's important about these ballets is they're a portrait, and we have to have a meeting with the singer. And I didn't start creating the ballet until I met Elton John, and which was, you know, actually very exciting because he was waiting to hear a pitch from me. He thought I'd created a whole ballet and that I was going to give it to him that day, the image and the script, and I hadn't prepared anything because I did that with Joni Mitchell, and she was very upset. She wanted to collaborate, you know, and she said, why are we going to call this a collaboration? And her ideas were way better than mine in the end. But certainly with Elton, I didn't prepare anything because I thought he might want, you know, but he's so busy, of course, that he gave us even something even more interesting, which was carte blanche to create the ballet. But we do have to meet with these singers, as I did with Sarah McLachlan last year. And so what we do is I talk with them about their music and their life, and from these discussions come the initial ideas for the ballet, and that was the storyline. What would the story be? Loosely inspired by Elton John's life. And once the story is created, then we go and look for the songs. Then we start building the aesthetics, the set design and costumes. But the first thing has to be the meeting with the singer, and then the story, and then the rest come together very quickly, actually. Well, when I finally got to meet Elton on Valentine's Day 2009 at Caesar's Palace, because he was performing, it was a few hours before one of his concerts, and he was already getting ready for concert. You know, he was getting in his zone, and he was preparing, and we sat down for about an hour. And what he immediately started sharing with me was that his life was full of hardships as well and challenges. He had to fight his demons, and he was an addict, he was alcoholic, he was bulimic, he was a repressed homosexual. He was a very, very unhappy man having huge success, which was quite a dichotomy. And at the time they had him writing 4 albums a year, you know, his first contract. Very few singers could produce that much music, and so it burned him out. So there was substance abuse. There was so much power in his life and influence. And it was Joni Mitchell who said, you know, before the Beatles, they didn't know just how powerful a musician and how rich they could become. After the Beatles, everything changed. And so this kind of power can be very tough to survive. And we see that with Amy Winehouse and Kurt Cobain and Janis Joplin. I mean, you name them, actors as well. It's an unreal world, and if you don't have the values that you can live with or something that grounds you in life, you can easily get lost in the fantasy world, which Elton John, you know, almost drowned in. But it was interesting because during our conversation, that's a lot what he talked to me about. You know, was he wanted, like Joni wanted the ballet to talk about the environment and war, and Sarah McLachlan was about the modern female ethos, you know, what women live today spiritually. With Elton John, he wanted the ballet to talk about addiction, homosexual repression, dignity for people living with HIV/AIDS. There's a lot of subjects that he wanted, and he wanted the ballet to bring new people to the dance, which was a big deal for him. And so all this was interesting because during that conversation he brought this up. And it's, you know, it's not difficult to research Elton John's life. There's so much on YouTube and on the internet, and books, biography, documentary films. And so I had a wealth of information that I could go out there, and everything that we've put in the ballet, there's no extrapolation. You know, it's all based on what I've heard him say in interviews. And basically, I hope it's achieving what he wanted it to achieve, which was, bringing new people to ballet, entertaining people wildly. It had to be a great night out, and at the same time tackle a few issues that were important to him.